If anybody dozes off, I'm taking names. Nobody's eating. All right, let's all stand. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Those of you who are logging on, we welcome you online to METRON. We're still getting set up for our Christmas gathering. Come on in, come on in, come on in. Huh? Shonda already threw y'all under the bus. Y'all, kitchen people have already been told on. Look around, see if there's somebody you haven't greeted yet, and tell them good morning and Merry Christmas Eve. Glad that, hey, bud. You all are here, and Merry Christmas Eve to those who are logging on right now. It's a busy time of year. Everybody we're here now, and thank you to everybody who's worked to set this up. I appreciate it. Everything looks beautiful. And but we're here now, and let's just take a breath and focus and come in here together mentally. Let's create some synergy, some agreement. Spirit of God, we're always in your presence, but on days like today, we're especially aware. Our consciousness is heightened. The Word not only became flesh, but continues to become flesh. On this beautiful day that is set aside to honor the birth of Jesus, regardless of when it actually happened, this is what we've all agreed on, the time on the calendar to acknowledge it. So we come into agreement with those who also observe this day. And we come up higher. We come up to a higher place of consciousness. We follow the star. Our soul feels its worth today. We thank you for the family that's in this room. Those of us who have been together for so many years. And with each year, those memories become even more precious. I speak a blessing on everyone who's here, everyone who's streaming, everyone who's on their way. Everyone who's in the kitchen, everybody. God, as Tiny Tim said, God bless us, everyone. And we thank you for it in your name. Amen. Remain standing. Do the Lord's Prayer. And then I'll tell you what we're going to do today. Our Father who art in heaven, presence of divine love and light that lives within us and within all of life. Hallowed be thy name. We invoke the powerful creative nature of all that is sacred and holy. Thy kingdom come. We embrace the healing essence that is the kingdom of heaven within us. Thy will be done. We accept our greatest good as we align with our divine nature, on earth as it is in heaven, knowing that the affairs of our lives reflect our evolving consciousness. Give us this day our daily bread. Each day we receive great blessings from within and throughout all the activities of our lives. And forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. We accept the divine nature of all things and all people, including ourselves, as we move away from judgment and toward greater awareness of divine presence. And lead us not into temptation. We shall be vigilant in expressing and experiencing the oneness with all life. But deliver us from evil, as we are learning to live without fault-finding and suffering. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever and ever. For we accept the consciousness of divine perfection with all its power and glory right here, right now, and forever. Amen, and so it is. Good. All right, you may be seated. And the rest of y'all can come on in. Hey, bud. Come in, come in, come in, come in. This is what we're going to do today. We're going to have sort of a shortened version of the service. We've got plenty of time to be in here this afternoon, so we're not on any deadline. But I've asked Eddie to sing, and I said, just do whatever you want to do, so he's going to sing. I don't know if you remember or not, but I asked Chandra to sing. She seems relaxed, so she doesn't seem to be nervous about it. And I do have a word I want to share with you, and then we'll officially we'll go offline at a certain point, and then we'll just spend the rest of the time partying and having a good time. And I was looking at my Christmas memory. I mean, my Facebook memories. I share memories every day, and some of us have had a lot of Christmases together, and I just want you to know I appreciate it, and I love you. And some years we did it up bigger. This year we're a little scaled down, and I've loved both. One's not better than the other. This one was a lot easier. I'm sure it's a lot easier on Avery, but it's all good, and I'm glad that we've somehow made it to Christmas 2023. This is METRON's 9th Christmas together, and we've had some great experiences, and it's all good. Let me give you a couple of announcements. Next Sunday is New Year's Eve, and it's also Ken's and my wedding anniversary. Chelsea Shagg's going to be here. She's leading us in a sound bath. I think it's a great way to close out an old year and begin a new year. So I'm really, if you haven't had a chance to see that done in person, I mean, it translates okay online, and I'm grateful that we have that outlet. But there's nothing like being here in person for it. So I'm really looking forward to that. Also, January 20th and 21st is Meditation Weekend number 21. My cousin, Pastor D.E. Paul, texted me this week, and he says, I've resisted this for a long time, but a lot of people are requesting that he be consecrated to the office of bishop, especially now that, not that he's taking Bishop Pearson's place, but a lot of the people that were sort of connected to him are, looking for somebody to fill in that gap. So he's being consecrated on the 21st, and I said, he said, I need you to be a part of it. I said, I can do it, but I've got a meditation weekend that Sunday. We'll be through that morning, but I can't. You're going to have to give me a little time to put on all that. First of all, let's all pray I can fit into that robe still, Jesus. People, why don't you do the vestments anymore? Because I had that robe in 1998, and this is 2023. Mind your own business. And I don't wear it very often, but it's cool once in a while to get all that stuff out and do the thing. I obviously can't tell him no. So I said, if you can give me like 2-ish in the afternoon, something like that, we can work it out. So they're changing their whole thing for around our schedule, and it'll all work. You know what? There's no point stressing over anything because it all works out. Think about all the stuff that you've stressed over that just fell into place anyway, and you're like, why did I spend all this time? Like when Jesus looked at Martha and he says, Martha, Martha. It always reminds me of the Brady Bunch. Martha, Martha, Martha. Marsha, Marsha, Marsha. You're troubled about many things. And, stuff has to get done, obviously. All this stuff didn't get set up by itself. And again, thank you to those of you who brought something and helped set up today. But stuff gets done anyway. And, I can't count how many times people have asked me this week, as recently as yesterday. Everybody I encountered, they say, are you ready for Christmas? It's nearly like a threat to it. Are you ready for it? You're like, oh, Jesus, I don't know. And I'm thinking, what else do I have to do to get what else do I have to do to get ready? But the fact is, it is here. And tomorrow is Christmas. And whatever needed to get done, if it didn't get done yet, it'll be okay. It's not the end of the world. Focus on what matters and what's really important, okay? So without any further ado, I'm going to ask Eddie Sellers if you'll come and set up whatever you need. And I usually request him to do Bethlehem Star. I didn't want to put him in a box. I'm trying to think outside the box. So you're welcome to do it, but you don't have to do it. I told him, I said, if you want to have a revival and a healing line, and we've got.
The text says, bring your guitar and do whatever you want to do.
That's right. It's what I said. So we've brought in the modesty cloths in case anybody falls out under the power. So we cover all of our bases. Without any further ado, would you please welcome the one, the only Eddie Sellers.
Give me just a second. Hello. So, let's see, we probably need that over here, BJ. All right. Let's see. Amen. All right. Whoop. I think that might be good. I was sitting there just thinking while Jim was talking, what an honor it is to be here this morning, to be able to share just a small little space with the Chandra Corelli, and to be asked by Jim Swilley, a man to me that just walks on water, that came along in my life at a time. You know, when the first night I went to hear Jim, Ava and I was a deacon in a Baptist church over here in Grant Park, and I hated the church. I know, well, I didn't hate the church, but I just kept asking myself, what the hell am I doing here? But the women were so sweet to me, and they cooked food, special plates for me. Oh, Eddie, come on. They let me run a 6-week revival in a big old church over here in Grant Park, you know, and I'm like, well, the people are sweet, you know, and but anyhow, I went to hear Jim, and little by little, I'm like, I can't do this over here no more. And Jim just walks on water to me. I'm going to sing a couple of verses of just 2 or 3 of my favorite times around Christmas time, and of 4 or 5 different songs, but go through it and see if I can make it work. And the first one would be, I'm dreaming of a white Christmas, just like the ones I used to know, where the treetops glisten and children listen to sleigh bells riding in the snow. And I'm dreaming of a white Christmas, with every Christmas card I write. So may our days be merry and bright, and may all our Christmases be bright. This next verse of song, I don't know the words to all these songs, and I've reached the age where I hate singing. This thing where every once in a while Jim asks me to sing some Sunday, and I have these papers, and I'm trying to keep up with the words. I think I'm done with all that. If I can't, I don't enjoy it, and I'm just going to get to the point where I'm saying, he got a ba shatala, urada handala wohotoya. That's what my Aunt Corrine and them used to do. I knew they forgot them songs, tried to make us believe it was the Spirit. You know. But back in 1973, I was 18 years old. I got married on October the 3rd. I had turned 18 on September the 26th. So a week after I got married, after I turned 18, I got married. My wife, Kathy, was 16 years old. She was pregnant. That was something that went on back in the 70s. And so we got married. And I had no money. I worked down on the corner of Lucky and Spring Street at George Blueprint. And we was the only white people who lived on Oak Street in West End. And we were trying to figure out how to get money to get the baby born. I had a 1968 Pontiac Bonneville. It had no reverse in it. So for that year, I worked downtown Atlanta and drove that car everywhere, and I always had to make sure I didn't have to back up. Glory be unto the name of the Lord. You tell me God ain't real. I had to figure out how to do that. And there was a song that Merle Haggard sung that came out that same Christmas, about November 1973. And I didn't like country music. I'd always loved, the Supremes and Beatles. But, man, I was struggling. I don't know if anybody else here ever had real hard times. I seen this week where Rudy said he was broke, when them girls won that lawsuit. And I'm like, he got a $7 million apartment. He thinks he's broke? He don't know broke. Let him drive a 1968 Bonneville with no reverse in it. That's a different kind of broke. Honest to God, it was like driving a living room through town. And the trunk was so big, I bought a full-size refrigerator one time and put it in the back of the trunk and drove it home with half of it sticking out the car. But anyhow, these songs, you hear a song sometime in season that speaks to you prophetically. And every time in my life since then, I go back to 1973 and I remember this song that Merle Haggard sung. And he sung, if we make it through December, got plans to be in a warmer town come summertime. It's the coldest time of winter, and I shiver when I see the falling snow. If we make it through December, got plans to be in a warmer town come summertime. Maybe even California. If we make it through December, we'll be fine. That was my song. I still love that song. And then I always loved just the verse of this. Away in a manger, no crib for a bed, our Lord Jesus laid down his sweet head. The stars in the sky looked down where he lay. Our Lord Jesus asleep in the hay. Oh, beautiful star of Bethlehem, shining bright through shadows dim, giving a light for those who long have gone, guiding the wise men on their way to that place where Jesus lay. Oh, beautiful star of Bethlehem, shine on. Oh, beautiful star of Bethlehem, give us a little to glory. Come on, Jim. Oh, give us a light to shine the way unto that land of perfect day. Oh, beautiful star of Bethlehem, shine on. All right, one little verse of this right here. I heard this song the other day, and I was out in my garden house, and I don't know but just a line of it, but I just started praising God and feeling the presence of the Lord, and I just sat out in my garden house and just sung these few little words over and over. The ancient writer said on that night there were shepherds that was abiding in a field, and said an angel appeared unto them and said, "Fear not, because I bring you good tidings of great joy, which shall be for all people." And then it said, Mary wrapped the baby in swaddling clothes, which is just to wrap it real tight. For all my life you have been faithful. Yes. For all my life you have been so good. With all my breath while I am able, I will sing of the goodness of God. Let me try to get it. Yeah. For all my life he has been able. For all my life he has been so good. With all my breath while I am able, oh, I will sing of the goodness of God. Then I want to direct this one. For all his life he has been able. For all Jim's life he has been so good. For all Jim's life while he is able, oh, he will tell us of the goodness of God. All right, I'm done.
That's beautiful. All right, thank you. I love you. Thank you. One more verse of that, and I'd have been needing Kleenex. Thank you. I receive it. I receive that. I love, first time I ever heard Eddie share, I just love the energy on it. Like, there's just a way that everybody feels relaxed when he's, doing his thing. And it's like, you can't learn that. I've watched Chandra over the years in different audiences. I've seen her with live bands and, I've seen tracks. And it's interesting to watch people's reactions to her when she's doing her thing. And you can't teach that. Charisma can't be taught. The anointing can't be taught. You either affect people a certain way or you don't. Maya Angelou said people might not remember what you said to them, but they'll remember the way you made them feel. I can't tell you how many times, even just a few weeks ago, somebody who I haven't seen since the 90s will message me and they'll say, "One time you sang this song at Church of the Now, and I'm really trying to find that song. Do you remember what it was?" I'm like, I don't even remember who you are. No, I don't think. I just wondered if you had a copy of it. I'm like, not with me. No, I don't. But it was real good. I don't remember what you sang, but it was real, real good, and my mama loved it. Like, still not ringing a bell. I always blame it on Avery. I'm like, contact Avery. She may know. She may have a. That's why Avery's changing her number this year. Anyway, thanks, Eddie. I appreciate that. Love you guys very much. One of the first things I did when I started METRON was I talked to Chandra because she wanted to know. She says, "I wasn't there when you said why you were leaving Church of the Now. I want to know what are you doing? What is this?" So we had a long conversation, and she says, "All right, I get it. I'm there." And I've never proselyted anybody. That's why it's always funny to me if anybody back in the day ever called me a cult leader. I'm like, I'm the exact opposite of that. A cult leader harasses you and doesn't let you leave. I'm like, hey, I'm not like Jesus. Jesus leaves the 99 and goes find the sheep. I'm like, maybe they need space. I don't want to crowd them. And I'd probably have a bigger crowd if I sold myself more. But I want people to be here because they want to be here. And you guys have convinced me that you obviously want to be here, and that's why it's days like today. I appreciate them so much. So I just asked, I think it was last week, I said, Chandra, if you're going to be here next week, will you sing something for us? And she said yes. So without any further ado, would you please welcome the one, the only, Chandra Corelli. Do you think?
Okay. Merry Christmas, everybody. God rest ye merry gentlemen. Let nothing you dismay. Remember Christ, our Savior, was born on Christmas Day to save us all from Satan's power where we were born astray. Oh, tidings of comfort and joy, comfort and joy. Oh, tidings of comfort and joy. You can start the track. Yes. Yeah, you put your hands together. Turn that track. Raindrops on roses, whiskers on kittens, bright copper kettles, and warm woolen mittens, brown paper packages tied up with string. These are a few of my favorite things, yeah. Turn it up some, one more. Milk-powdered ponies with crisp apple strudels, doorbells and sleigh bells with sweet Susan noodles. They give me the words. They love with string. These are a few of my favorite things, yeah. Bum bum. They don't bum bum, but they don't play. Girls in white dresses with blue satin sashes, snowflakes that stay on my nose and my lashes, silver white winters that melt into spring. These are a few of my favorite things. When the dog bites, when the bee stings, when I'm feeling sad, I simply remember my favorite things, and then I don't feel so bad. Woo! Yeah, clap. Somebody finally showed up, huh? Yeah, my favorite things. You get for fire. Yeah, yeah, when the dog bites, when the bee stings, when I'm feeling sad, I simply remember my favorite things, and then I don't feel so bad. Oh, no, my favorite things. Yeah, oh, you, oh, yeah, you, oh, my favorite thing. Yeah, bum, 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 bum. My favorite things. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh. Hey, my favorite. I'm talking about favorite things. Talking about things. Oh, I love to do my favorite things. Yeah. That's it.
Shauna Corelli. I love it. Love it. Paul wrote to the church and he said, finally, brethren, whatever things are just and pure, whatever things are lovely, whatever things are of good report, if there be any virtue, if there be any praise, think on these things. And that's really what that song's about. You know, just knowing how to encourage yourself and remember the blessings, count the blessings. Sorry, when I wear these boots. All right. That was beautiful. Thanks, Eddie. Thanks, Sandra. Loved it. Awesome. Are we ready for the podcast, Charles? Oh, Charles, if you can hear us. We'll sing a little bit at the end. Welcome to the METRON Live podcast, coming to you from the beautiful Kirkwood neighborhood, Midtown adjacent. METRON people, would you please welcome the podcast people? As always, we thank Charles McFall for always being faithful. And I want to thank all of my tech team, and we'll have a little something for each of y'all. I will make sure they get something even if I don't. And I'm not trying to sound all sacrificial about that, but that's the way I feel about it. And Heather, Heather sent me money today. Heather's, who's usually here on Sundays, her mother's in hospice, and she's got her feet in the Jordan. As a matter of fact, we need to just agree with her for a safe passage. And but Heather sent me money to send y'all, so she zelled it to me. So y'all tell me how to zell it to you. And thanks, 2 or 3 of you have given to me this year, and I really appreciate it. And so thank you, and I never take it for granted. But I thank all of you. You know, I never, when I drive up here, I never worry that somebody's not going to show. It never occurs to me, talking about like my tech team, I never think, man, are they going to be here today? I mean, I never, when I walk in, everything's taken care of. And, I really do believe, Avery's convinced me of it years ago, but I really, like Charles and BJ and Michelle, I really think y'all are clearly called to me. I don't think you could do it if it wasn't a calling. I just really appreciate it. Excellence it's awesome. I mean, I remember back in the days when my dad would have choir directors that would get their feelings hurt, and we never knew, like on Sunday morning, if they weren't going to show up. It was crazy town. You never knew if somebody was mad at somebody and somebody was going to, that's not even in my consciousness. I always know, like, well, they're going to be there. BJ had to take his parents to the airport the other day, and he said, I still got to go by there and set everything up. And, you better go with your plaid suit on. But anyway, this is what I'm going to share with you today. I don't really have a title. It's just Christmas at METRON. But I want to specifically talk for a moment about this little passage in Matthew about what we call the men. The Council of Nicaea got together in North Africa in a certain voted on. It was a group of men. One of them was Santa Claus, by the way. St. Nicholas, the original St. Nicholas, was at the Council of Nicaea. And they put together the Bible. The Bible didn't come down out of heaven. it came with a bunch of men who got together and decided. There were 300 Gospels, and they winnowed them down to 4 that they decided on. And so the 4 we have are Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. And I always like to say this because I always want to remind you the Bible's inspired, but it's not infallible. It's not, you can't worship it. Bibliolatry is dangerous. Many people can't see Jesus for the Bible. The Bible has obscured them to the real Jesus because the Bible basically says whatever you want to say, whatever you want to promote. You can find somebody in the Bible who wrote something that will hold up your argument. I remember when Judah and I we were able to go to Coretta Scott King's 6-hour-long funeral. And all of the living presidents spoke that day. And they all used scripture. And the Democratic ones used the Democratic scriptures, and the Republicans used Republican scriptures. And I was telling Judah, I said, it's amazing how you can pick out whatever verse you want to buttress your political persuasion. And that's why the scriptures have to be rightly divided. It's not a monolithic book. Bishop, we know this already. You tell us this all the time because this is one of the main reasons I came to the earth. It's the reason I was born in 1958, to do what I'm doing exactly right now, to make people stop worshiping the Bible. I want you to believe in it, but don't worship it. So, in the nativity accounts, we only have 2 of the writers, assuming they actually, who wrote anything about the birth of Jesus. Matthew is where we get the story of the wise men. Mark doesn't say anything about Jesus being born. He starts the narrative adult. Luke says the most about the birth of Jesus. That's what Eddie quoted out of, where the angels appeared to the shepherds. And John is so metaphysical, he just bypasses the nativity altogether. He goes back to, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God. And I like that. I like the composite of these 4 writers or 4 ideologies or 4 whoever wrote was writing at least in the spirit of these men. And so together we get sort of an idea of what the birth of Jesus was about. When you see nativity scenes and there's Mary and Joseph and a baby in the manger and there's shepherds and wise men all there on the same night, that's not the way it happened. The shepherds came at a different time. Wise men came considerably later. Those of you that came out raised in the Roman Catholic Church observed Epiphany, which was the 12th day of Christmas when the wise men came. But I've been doing Christmas sermons for over half a century now, and there's like the more I talk about it, the more I realize there really is even more to talk about. I want to talk about this little thing that happened with the wise men, and I'm going to say some things I've never said before. And see, just when you think you've heard all my stuff, you haven't heard all my stuff. You don't know me. You don't know me like that. You think, I ain't going to Metron. I already heard his stories. No, I got new stuff you hadn't even thought of yet. I'm so ahead of my time, y'all don't even know. Y'all don't even know. Long after I'm gone, people will say, you know what? Did not our hearts burn within us? He told us this many years ago. I'm like, you better recognize I'll be coming back from heaven. Like, I told y'all. Let me show you. I'm going to show you this passage out of Matthew in the Now. Available at jimswilleybooks.com and on amazon.com. This is chapter 2, verses 1 through 11. Now, when the man Jesus was born as a baby in Bethlehem of Judea, during the reign of Herod the king, astrologers from the east came to Jerusalem to inquire about him. These astrologers, or magi, originated from a religious caste among the Persians who were devoted to divination, or the practice of the magic arts, and to the interpretation of dreams. They came from southern Arabia, where they had long maintained a tradition of Israelite messianic expectation that had survived in the region since the days of the Queen of Sheba. Back when Sheba came to see Solomon's temple, she brought back some of the messianic ideology that a Messiah was going to come to Israel. Okay, and this tradition survived alongside their practice of astrology. When they came to Jerusalem, they began to ask around, where is he who has been born the King of the Jews? For we have charted his star in the east through our understanding of the zodiac and have come to worship him. But when the news about these Arabic magicians got to Herod, it worried him greatly and, in fact, troubled all of Jerusalem with him. So he called together all the people who were experts in the law and in messianic prophecy and asked them where the Messiah was supposed to be born. In Bethlehem in Judea, the learned men replied, for this is what the prophet Micah has written. But you, Bethlehem, in the land of Judah, are not in any way the least among Judah's rulers, for out of you will come a ruler who will be the shepherd of my people Israel. Then Herod called for a secret meeting with the Magi in an attempt to find out if what they knew from their astrological charts lined up with what the scriptures had predicted. But these magicians had no knowledge of the prophetic scriptures, so he said to them, go to Bethlehem and make a careful search for the child. As soon as you locate him, report back to me so that I may go and worship him. After they conferred with the king, they went on their way and could actually see the star ahead of them. It literally seemed to move, guiding them to Bethlehem until it appeared to stop over the place where the child was. When they saw the star that they had anticipated for so long, they were absolutely overjoyed. Of all the signs and wonders that they had seen and performed, this was different. This was the most spectacular. And this was proof that the heavens really do declare the glory of God, as David had said, and that even those who were not of the seed of Abraham could see it, even without a knowledge of the scriptures. On entering the house, they saw the child with his mother Mary and instinctively bowed down and worshipped him, while everyone else in Israel was oblivious. These Persian magicians were the very first to recognize and worship the king. Then they opened their treasures and presented him with gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh, providing him and his family with enough wealth to last a lifetime. Now, the rest of this chapter gets really dark. This story goes very badly in a moment. I don't know if everybody else's Christmas is perfect this year. Ours is good, but it's not perfect. I don't know if y'all have perfect families. I don't. We don't. I got issues in my family trying to remember who's okay with whom. And I'm going to be very transparent today, but later today I'm going to pick up Christina, who I haven't seen in nearly 2 years, and I sent money for her to fly here. I also know that she hasn't seen her mom in a considerable amount of time because of issues they're trying to work out. And that Jared's concerned that if there's pictures of us, his mom is going to be upset that Christina's here to celebrate Christmas with me. Meanwhile, my second ex-wife, boyfriend, died a few months ago, and her father passed away. So I already decided we should invite Debbie, and she let us know, I want to come. I'm like, okay, good. Let's especially don't let my first ex-wife know that. So if I don't post any pictures for Christmas, it's just I'm trying to keep the peace, Jesus. Y'all feel me? I don't know if any of y'all have blended families, but blended families can be a little tricky at Christmas time. And I don't want to make anybody. It may not be an issue. It may be totally fine, and Jared lives with my mom, and they got issues that they're working out that I saw coming. I knew when he moved in there a couple of years ago. I said, you sure you want to do that? And some things are happening now that I'm like, this is what I was trying to tell you. And y'all got to work that out, and my conversation with my mom got real dark last night. I mean, it went dark to the point I'm like, can we just wait till after Christmas to do this? And I don't want to tell his business, but Ken's got issues with not any of his making, issues with his family, trying to work out certain things that are serious enough. We went drove out to Eatonton yesterday. He may mind me saying this. I'm going to say it anyway. He wanted to decorate his parents' grave, and I said, Mr. Monty, Mr. Evelyn, your family needs a little miracle. They've got a situation, and they need to get fixed, and nobody seems to know how to fix it. And if y'all can send any help from the other side, please do. He said, what's this got to do with the wise men? Just shut up and hang on. I mean, you can eat your crackers and your little gumdrops in a minute. Hang on. I'm making a point. Now, I know the rest of y'all have perfect Christmases and perfect families, and you got no drama, no stress. So you have no idea what I'm talking about. What's that got to do with the wise men? Just relax. Now, when I've taught this before, I see a lot of powerful things in this. It's a great teaching about universalism, because here these men come from what is now be called Iraq, but it's Persia, and they come and notice, not convert. They didn't follow Jesus. They didn't convert to Christianity. They actually said, "Where is he who is born the King of the Jews?" In other words, he's not our king, but we want to. We think his coming is important. So it's a great thing about how other people outside of the the economy of Judeo-Christian thought can see who Jesus is. So there's a great thing in that. But there's no follow-up story that says when they went back to Persia, the entire nation believed on Jesus. There's a great teaching when people say something like, my mom has said to me before, like, I don't like when you use the word magic. I prefer when you use the word miracles. And I'm like, well, they're the same root word. The magic comes from magi. The wise men are magicians. Magic's not a devil word. It's just a word. Magic just means beyond the natural realm. So the fact that these men charted the astrological signs, the fact that they practiced divination and still recognize Jesus, that's a whole other concept. I could do a whole teaching on that and have taught on that. And then I included this. I will say this. These writings will be discovered at some point, because I'm telling you, what I've written here is important. And I'm saying that it's just, I'm not trying to be full of myself. I'm just saying this is really important, and it's ahead of its time, and one day people will recognize that. Remember, I said it on Christmas Eve 2023. But I included that last line because there's a teaching that says, and it could well be true, that when these men brought these gifts to Jesus, that they put, it was like setting up a trust fund for him. Like it was enough wealth for his family to live on for the rest of his life. And that's how, that was the money that was used for them to go to Egypt, and, because they fled the country. That's where the money came from. And that Jesus really wasn't poor. Mary and Joseph weren't home. Joseph was a carpenter. I mean, he could have built a house for them. The reason Jesus was born in Bethlehem is because there went out a decree from Caesar Augustus that all the world should be taxed. A lot of people use Mary and Joseph as a teaching about homelessness, and that's not really applicable then. But in the third trimester of her pregnancy, Joseph had to go. He was born in Bethlehem, which is a part of Palestine, by the way. What you're seeing in the news right now, a lot of the activity that's going on with Palestinians is right around the birthplace of Jesus. So there could have been truth to this. The scripture does not say there were three. The reason we think there were three is because in 1852 a man wrote a song called "We Three Kings of Orient Are." So that's why now we visualize three men coming. And I was going to read you the lyrics, but I'm, for the sake of time, I'm not going to go there. But if you read the lyrics to "We Three Kings," it's a beautiful song. I love the song. My favorite version of it is on Rod Stewart's Christmas album a few years ago. He had Mary J. Blige sang it with him. It was an unusual choice, but it's such a great rendition of that song. And, chorus is, "Oh, star of wonder, star of light, star with royal beauty bright, westward leading, still proceeding, guide us to thy perfect light." But the point of the believing in three, when you read the lyrics, each one of the three, they calls them kings, they each talk about the symbolism of their gifts, gold, frankincense, and myrrh. And there's a certain ideology that says it represents the birth, death, and resurrection of Jesus. Which, fair enough. I mean, it's like, okay, can I just say, I don't have an issue with any of these ideas. These are all valid ideas that I've talked about before. Y'all still with me? Having said that, can I just say that this whole thing with these men coming from Persia, I don't even know how long it would have taken for them to ride on camels or whatever they rode on to get there. I mean, it was kind of a big deal. It would be a big deal to go from Iraq to Israel now with airfare. It's not like leaving Decatur to go to Lithonia. I mean, that's a bit of a journey. So I don't know. We have no idea, assuming this is a true story, we have no idea how many years of preparation may have gone into this thing, and them not even knowing for sure. I mean, they had to really believe in their ability to chart a star, because they could have spent years planning this thing and trying to finance it. Remember, this is back before there were roads and interstates or international highways. I mean, you don't even know if there's a road. How do you even? I got to look at a map. How would you even get from Persia to Israel? How would you even go? Do you take a boat? How would you? I mean, you start thinking about the logistics of that. You know, now when y'all go on a cruise, you can take care of everything in one phone call or go online. This would be like, there's so many movable parts to this. Well, we don't know anybody there. We don't speak the language. If we get there, what if there's no place for us to stay? And what if we missed it? What if we take years out of our lives to go on this epic pilgrimage, and we get there and people say, "What are you talking about? There's no," I mean, they get to Herod's palace, and Herod has no idea what they're talking about. As a matter of fact, this is what happened. He said to them, because it bothered them, they said, he's like, "What do you mean, the king of the Jews? I'm the king of the Jews. What are you talking about?" And he says to them, "Go to Bethlehem, see if you can find this baby, and then tell me where he is, because I want to come worship him too." So they go to Bethlehem, however far Jerusalem was from Bethlehem. They get there, and in a dream, they are warned that Herod's up to no good, and they say, we're not going to go back and talk to him, so they leave. And when Herod finds out about it, I don't want to ruin your Christmas, but you know what he does? He sends out a decree that every baby boy born in Bethlehem 2 years and younger must be slaughtered. This is a part of the Christmas story. Oh, remember that time that all the babies were killed in Bethlehem. Their little heads were cut off. And, I mean, it's like, that's a horrible, horrible thing. We sort of skim through that one. We three kings of Orient. There's a part of you that says, you guys should have just stayed where you are. We did, like, what good came out of it? There was no big revelation in Persia. It'd be different if you said, kings from all the known lands, like they did on the day of Pentecost. Like they all came from, that would be impressive. People, diviners from China and Africa and all these places, they came to worship it. But it's just these disconnected men that seem to have no previous connection with Scripture. And they do this thing which is, it's impressive that somebody from another country who was not part of that religion, they were Zoroastrians, which is a religion that still exists in that part of the world. And it's not like, Iraq today is nearly completely Muslim. So it's not like Iraq's this amazing Christian nation that we can trace back to. Those three kings came, and they brought the message of Jesus. You go to most Iraqis and say, you receive Jesus Christ as your personal Savior. They don't know what the hell you're talking about. They're busy bowing down to Mecca and praying to Allah, believing that Muhammad was the prophet that revealed him. They don't want to hear, what came out of it? All it did was tick Herod off and cause people to have their babies killed. Think of it. Now, there are some very progressive theologians, Charles Spong was one of them, who believed that the Old Testament and New Testament stories are conflated. Like, he believed that it was too ironic that there was an Old Testament story about a Joseph going to Egypt and a New Testament story of a Joseph going to Egypt, and believes it's the same story. And the story of, because the same thing happened when Moses. Remember when Moses was a baby and Pharaoh had all the young boys killed? And so there are some theologians that believe, there's a Latin term for it. I can't remember, but it's when somebody takes somebody's work and sort of not plagiarizes it, but sort of builds on that template. Y'all still with me? But let's say it did happen exactly as we read in Matthew. The part about the universal stuff, yeah, that's a good teaching. Great teaching about Jesus being revealed to people who may not call him Jesus, but they know him. And so there's a whole truth to that, and I'm never going to not teach that. That's part of the story. But this is what I've been thinking about just this week. I'm looking at this story. Now, I could also make a case that the thing with the angels serenading the shepherds out in the field, I'm also curious, what was that about? Wouldn't it have been more impressive if the angels had appeared over Herod's palace and said, you better recognize the King of Israel, Jesus is. But we got to take the word for these blue-collar workers out on the hillside somewhere, and I'm thinking, an angelic choir for these guys? This would be like bringing in the Mormon Tabernacle Choir and having them to sing to some guys that live in little 5 Points. Like, well, we didn't see it, but you had to have been there. We were just a bunch of us, we had a lot to drink, and we walked out, and these angels up in the sky. Really? Huh, that's interesting. They didn't seem to appear anywhere else in the greater Atlanta area. I don't know, man. I'm just telling you, we walked out, and there were angels everywhere, and we were sore afraid. That's afraid. When you're so afraid, it makes you sore. Ow, what is that? It's fear. Fear hurts. So I'm not going to get to the shepherds this year. I'll save that for next Christmas. But I'm thinking about these wise men, as cool as it is, and I could make the case that it was in the mouth of truth or witnesses, every word is established, and these men offered a confirmation, an outside witness that was beyond the Scripture. So that there's a valid point to that, but it didn't end well. This is a sad story. Have you ever had somebody try to do something for you and it just ended up like, this is on a much smaller level. But when I was at Church of the Now, a woman in the church, it's been so long ago now, nobody can connect the dots. For some reason, I didn't ask her to do this. She wanted to make me a pot of soup. That's fine. She didn't tell me she was making it for me. She came to one of my ushers and said, I made this for Bishop. And he came and got my keys and put it in my back seat. He did not tell me. As soon as I drove off, the thing dumped over, and there was a lot of garlic in it. And it basically ruined my back seat. And for the entire time that I had that car, I never could get the smell out of there. And when I saw her, she was like, did you get my soup? And I'm like, next time, please just send me a check. I didn't think that. I didn't say that, but I thought it. I thought, I know you meant well, but you have just jacked up my car in a major way. And I'm saying to the ushers, like, next time you put a large liquid something in my car, would you at least tell me? Like, because I had no idea. Well, I thought you wanted to be surprised. Well, it was a surprise. All afternoon when I'm trying to scrub out the carpet in my back seat, I was very surprised. Now, that's on a much smaller scale. But if you ever had somebody you're like, I know it's the thought that counts, and I don't want to look a gift horse in the mouth, but this is so not what I needed. You know, there's an art to gift giving. Like if somebody gives you something that looks completely unlike anything you would ever own or wear, and they say, I got this for you because you don't have anything like this. Well, think about it. I don't have anything like that because this is ugly. That's why I don't have, I mean, if you're going to buy something that looks like what they already have, because that's clearly what their taste is. I saw this other, this looks just like you. All right, fine. Now, that's on a much smaller scale, but I could tell you so many stories of people who meant well, but the gift, I just want to say next time, please don't do that. I've had people want to do stuff for me that they don't know, but it caused like somebody who left something somewhere and didn't tell me, and then I come back and it's spoiled, or they're not thinking it through. Judah dated somebody a while back, and he was dating, and he did this surprise thing for her and left it on it was supposed to be a trip involved or something. Anyway, she just didn't see it, and you can't believe the nightmare it became, because he's visualizing she's gonna find it. Well, she didn't. And what should have been something really cool that's why when I tell you I don't like surprises, there's a good reason. When somebody says, we're doing a surprise party for you. No, don't do that, because I may have already made plans for something. I might not even be in town. If you want to throw me a party, heck yeah, I'm all about it. But please don't surprise me. Please don't let me walk into my house and everybody screams surprise, and I'm like, oh, sweet God. Fred Sanford used to say, I'm coming, Elizabeth. So on a much larger scale, we could say to these shepherds, this is really cool that you guys did this, and we're honored, but do you have any idea of the instruction you've set off? I mean, if you really were going to follow a star, why didn't you just follow the star? Why did you have to stop by Herod's palace and get him all riled up anyway? And if this was so supernatural, why didn't you just shut up about it and go follow the star and find him and worship him and go on back to Persia about your business? But no, you had to drag Herod into it, and now, my little nephew just got killed. Totally. All right, Bishop, where are we going with this? You're sucking the joy out of Christmas. I'm going to tell you something that's going to rock your world, because I'm about to tell you the truth. There are just some things that happen that do not make sense, at least not now. You cannot connect the dots, that it didn't turn out well. I mean, you could say all things work together, but man, we could have done without that part having to work along with all the other things. Everything was going just fine. And this is what, at least to me in mind, we're going to have Christmas. I don't know where we're going to see his boys, but I did a painting for his son and his new wife. And I'm like, we're going to see him sometime, because I stayed up all night painting that painting. They didn't ask for it. They're going to get that painting. So I don't know when we'll see him, but we will. And again, this is nothing that Ken has initiated. So he's the good guy in this story. It's just stuff that happens. I mean, it's basically, it all started with people not responding to wedding invitation and other people being on the other end of it who, you know what I mean? It's just one of those things that happens. And it just, y'all know, y'all got families. Don't sit there and act like I don't know what you're talking about. You know what I'm talking about. And it's the kind of thing that you think, why can't you just fix that? Because I don't know if y'all have families or not, but family stuff is complicated. I mean, since I've told all this much, you know, Jared's a big grown man that can do whatever he wants to do. My mom's used to, when a man leaves the house, she wants to know where you go and when are you going to be back, well, whatever. I'm like, I told her, I said, I don't know how many more times to tell you this. You can't say that to him. He's not, I mean, he didn't answer to anything when he was a teenager. He says, well, I just want to know where he's going. I said, no, that's never going to go well. And it's become such a touchy issue with them that I'm like, y'all going to have to figure this out. Because I know you, I know what you're going to say, and I know you, I know how you're going to respond, and it ain't going to end well. Y'all feel me? There's stuff in everybody's families you think, why can't we just sit and talk this out? Because you can't. There's certain things, if you talk that out, you're going to open such a kettle of fish, such a can of worms. It's just like, oh, sweet God. Can we all just get together in our dysfunction and just shut up and pretend like everything's okay? Well, I just believe in communication and facing things out. You don't have a lot of people in your family then. That's easy for you to say. But there's some things. I've had people ask me stuff about my Polk family. Like, what about this? I'm like, I don't talk to them about that. That's their business. That's stuff that happened in the past. We don't, well, I just thought y'all would talk. I'm like, no. That's like a horrible thing that happened in our family that would still, I mean, we got people that still don't speak to each other. Like, we don't just get together and go, you tell me what, like that's, no, we probably never will talk about it, ever. Oh, y'all don't have any skeletons in your family's closet? That's my point. You know, you want to say to the kings, like, thank y'all for coming. That's sweet and all, but really, other than just giving us put on a nativity scene, what good did it do? I mean, Jesus was a baby. He's like, not like he knew it. I mean, I guess if I really tried to be upbeat about it, I could see good that came out of it, but it's a stretch. Especially one that ends up in babies being killed. That's pretty dark. I thought Jesus was supposed to be the Prince of Peace. He's only been here a couple of hours, and there's no peace. It's like as soon as he got here, all hell broke loose. All right, again, Bishop, where are we going with this? This is what I want to tell you. Shit happens. That's my Christmas message. It's not the end of the world. It's not the end of Christmas. Will Christmas be perfect this year? No, it's never been perfect. You take what you can get. I'll pick up food tonight, and I'll take it over there, and I got my mom a little tree, and we'll decorate it, and maybe it'll be weird. Maybe it won't. I don't know. I'm looking at him hanging over his mother's grave yesterday, and I'm like, well, I'm not that far away from that. Of course, last night, I'm just saying, it's a message you don't want to have on Christmas Eve. I didn't even mention this one. I just told him this was we were driving in. I said, you know, I wrote a Christmas, meditation this week. Yeah, it was about Christmas. I was really proud of it, and I shared it on my Bishop page. And somebody, big capital letters, wrote, God hates homos on there. I thought, really? Merry Christmas to you. Like, seriously? That's what you want to share? That's what you got out of this? I'm not trying to bring the room down. I'm just saying there was a lot of people who said, oh, my Bishop, that was such a great message. People, why do you think when somebody writes me something good, I screenshot it and share it? Because I've had some things said to me and written to me and posted to me, not so much in recent years, but in years past. Baby, you can say, well, you got a lot of ego. Honey, if I hadn't had some to get started with, I'd never have the nerve to be standing here with a microphone. I've had people say stuff to me that would have killed the average man. And I read it and thought, well, you'll get it eventually. He said to me, why didn't you write back, God hates ignorant people? I said, because it's not going to do any good. There's no point. He's wanting to get all Putnam County on him. I said, knock yourself out. But this is my point with I'm not saying the wise men shouldn't have come, however many it was. It might have been a whole company of astrologers. I don't know. But it happened, and it's part of the Christmas story. And I don't want to have the Christmas story without them. I want the wise men. But it doesn't mean that it was a happy story or a story that even made sense. There's just some stuff that happens. And you're going to have to stop overthinking everything and trying to over-spiritualize everything and being such a cream puff that one little bad conversation ruins the Christmas for you. At this point, you've had enough Christmases and enough nonsense with your family. Nothing. If Jesus himself came to you and said, I really wasn't even born, psych, you'd be like, well, too bad, Jesus. We're already in the habit. We're doing it anyway. Happy birthday to you. Jesus came and said, stop celebrating my birthday. Be like, too late. We're not going to not have Christmas. It's the most wonderful time. You better get with it, Jesus. I mean, that's how strong you ought to be at this point. If you walk into your family tomorrow night and they all meet you at the door and cuss you out at the door as you're walking in, go dip you a plate and say, I'm going to get me a couple of plates. And I'm going to back out of the driveway real slow. Feliz Navidad. Y'all go with God. Happy New Year. Well, I just can't have Christmas if everything's not perfect. It's never going to be perfect. Christmas is never going to be perfect. Peace on earth, goodwill toward men. Yeah, that's cute. But in the real world, there's very little goodwill toward people. There just is. And we're not going to fix it at Christmas. We can sing all the let there be peace on earth stuff, but, there's not a lot of peace on earth. You do what you can. See that glass half full as much as you can. Enjoy what you can. And don't waste a minute. You ought to just, from this point on, say, I'm going to get mine. I mean, if my family doesn't get it, fine. If everybody's mad at me, fine. If ex-spouse, like that, fine. Y'all figure it out. I'm not trying to prove any points. I'm just going to enjoy me some Christmas. I'm going to finish this. I'm going to eat me some little things over here and go, this is awesome. I'm just glad somebody brought it. Is it filet mignon? No. It kind of looks like that Charlie Brown Thanksgiving, where they all put together, But, I ain't mad at it. There's several things I like. These little shish kebab things, I've been looking at those all day. But I will tell you this one other thing, and then I'll close. And Avery, this is kind of a repeat of a conversation we had. Because I called her this week, quite frankly. I said, just let me know, do we have enough so I can give the tech team, some kind of little Christmas bonus. I said, if we don't have it, I'll just pay for it personally. And she said, no, we got that. We can cover that. We can cover Chelsea next week. I said, well, she's willing to come for free. No, it's fine. Okay, great. And she said, you should be able to get a check pretty soon. I'm like, good. I wasn't even calling about that, but yay. She watches it all the time. She's like, on January 4th, you can put it through. I'm like, okay, good. At least lets me know what I can work with. But in the conversation, I said, you know what? I'm trying to rethink something. When something happens that's unexpected or out of the norm or whatever, I'm trying to rethink it and not always believe it's a bad thing. For instance, I don't know why this has happened to me, but several of our go-to restaurants had a thing that I really like. And I always ordered that thing. I never even look at the menu. That's why I go. I used to go to Opry Diem because they had a portobello mushroom sandwich that I liked. I only ordered that for years. Guess what they took off the menu? Portobello sandwich. We live a couple blocks from the Varsity. You can't eat at the Varsity all the time. You can't eat all the triglycerides and everything. But Varsity used to have a little chicken salad sandwich. It was made out of fresh chicken. It was and as close as we lived, he'd get home late. Sometimes it was like really convenient to say, let's just go to Varsity and get one of the chicken salad sandwiches. Guess what they took off the menu? Chicken salad sandwich. We hardly ever, we're like virtually teetotalers, but there's a drink at a restaurant in New York called the Bluefin that we both really liked. It was like a blue cocktail. We weren't driving. We weren't getting drunk, but we liked every Christmas we'd order that, and they had a Swedish fish in it, and it was like that was. Guess what's the one thing they took off the menu? The Bluefin. That was the whole reason we went to that restaurant. Y'all don't make that drink anymore. That was the name of your restaurant is the Bluefin. I mean, I can't tell you how much it's happened. That's the thing that I liked at this place. I liked Zaxby's has fried pickles. I liked them. Took them off the menu. Once a year they'll have them, but it's like they taunt you with them. Like they're only here for 48 hours. Like, shut up, Zaxby's. You're not even all that. They'll be like, I don't care. I don't even want your stupid pickles. I hate y'all. There's different products. You have certain products that you like. Like this is what I've figured out. This is what does my hair the best, or this is nearly every one of those particular products that I like been taken off the thing. I'm like, what is going on? And this is how I've decided to look at it. And this is a stretch to connect this to the three wise men, but this is where my head's at today. I'm like, maybe it's a good thing for me to get out of a rut. Maybe this is going to help my mental faculty not to be so predictable. Because what's happened is when something I really like is taken off the menu, I order something else, and, well, I like that too. That's okay. And I don't know that I would have ever tried it if that thing hadn't been taken off the menu. So instead of me just resisting interruptions in my life, I've chosen for 2024 to look at it and say, all right, what new neural paths need to be open in my brain? This is going to, in the long run, help me. And if three wise men show up in a really inopportune, like, we love y'all, but please don't come back and stir this all up again. We're going to come back every year. No, really, please don't. You're going to wipe out. There'll be boys left. We think it's great y'all came. You're going to get a song. We three kings. We love y'all. Please go back to Persia. But we're glad y'all came. And there's a fine line between complacency and surrender. Complacency is when you just say, I have no control over my life, and that's not true. You do have control. The decisions you make, the words you speak, the thoughts you think are constantly creating your reality. That being said, there are other things in your life that you just have no control over, and you're going to have to learn to surrender to them. Because you can't fix them. And here's something else. Maybe they don't even need to be fixed. Well, my life would be so much. Guess what? I hope it doesn't wreck your world. The world doesn't revolve around you. I have to say that to myself periodically. Well, sometimes when I think, this would be so much easier if they would stop doing that, I'm like, well, maybe this isn't about me at all. And since I brought up families, can I tell you something about why it's good to have, I'm sort of visualizing the three wise men as that new thought that you have to deal with that may not always be pleasant. That's the symbolism I see in it. And the good thing about somebody coming from the outside and showing you a paradigm you didn't have before is there's certain things you can't see the forest for the trees. Like if you're in a situation with a family member and y'all have had a cyclical relationship for years when you say this and they say that and you say this and they say that. I mean, if that's the case, you're never going to be able to get to the root of that anyway because you've so developed that that pattern. I just listened to Barbara Streisand. It took years for her to write this memoir, and so she wrote it, and she did like a reading of it, and it's really more like a performance piece, because when she refers to a song, she will play a little bit of the song. You got to be a real Barbara Streisand fan, because it's long. Because you listen to it, it's good. But she had a thing with her mother her whole life. She said, I can't tell you how many times I would be winning some award, because she's won so many awards she doesn't even remember. She's had a hit album in 6 consecutive decades. Hasn't been done before. Cher, with her new Christmas album, she's had a top 10 7 decades, but Streisand's had an album that's been in the top 10. It's unbroken. Her mother never thought she could sing, ever. And not only didn't think it, she said, I can't tell you the times I would dress my mother up and bring her to something, and my staff would come to me and say, you're going to have to come help us. Your mother's in the bathroom screaming at everybody, saying, I'm the mother, I should be honored, not her. She said it happened up to like right before she died. And she's like looking at her like, why did I even bring you? Because that's such a long pattern. She says, crazy me. I kept thinking one of these days she'll finally say, well, I guess everybody in the rest of the world can't be wrong. Maybe you can sing. Never got it. Ever. Since I've wrecked this much of your Christmas, let me tell you. There's some things with family members you ain't going to get fixed on this side. You're just not. You can say, well, I wouldn't talk it all out before they go. No, you're not. I kept that fantasy with my dad up until the last moment when he finally drew his last breath, getting me standing there looking at him. I said, well, I guess we're not going to talk. I'll catch up with you on the other side. Because you're going to have to disconnect from the pipe dreams and embrace what's wonderful about Christmas and about life. I mean, Eddie, I see you do it in your writings nearly every day. Eddie, don't read after him if you're easily, shocked, because he will tell it all. But it always ends with embracing life, and life is beautiful or whatever. And I'm like, that's how you have to do it every day, because it's never going to be perfect, and there's always going to be some wise men crashing your party that's messing everything up and causing all the little kids to get killed, and you're going to have to try to make some sense of it somewhere. I don't know if this happened to you, but I've got some things I look back on my life, and I'm like, I still don't know what the hell that was about. Where did that even come from? I know I didn't will that into being. I remember a long-term friend of mine, it's sort of a mentor to me, died a few years ago. And I really wanted to go to his funeral. I was really looking forward to it. There was a lot of people I wanted to see. It wasn't a happy occasion, but it's like, no, I really want to. This is important. As I'm driving, I think of it every time I drive down West Peachtree Street and get to that red light at Pershing Point right before you get to the Rhodes Castle. This woman texting and driving, not looks at me, plows into my car, hits me so hard it rams me into the car in front of me. To say I missed the funeral is an understatement. And I'm standing out with this is not my fault. This woman who's like, oh, I'm sorry, I wasn't looking. I'm like, you think? And that really troubled me, because I thought, where did that come from? I believe there was a devil somewhere that was trying to keep me from going. And I don't think, I really wanted to go. It's not like I'd snared it's just a mystery to me. Guess what? It just happened. Sometimes somebody's just driving a car and texting, and they run into you, and it don't mean any more than that. If it's going to mean anything, it's don't text and drive. That's what I got out of that. But if you try to figure out why did it happen, you're going to waste so much time of your life. Remember when the disciples brought the blind boy to Jesus? They said, why is he blind? Is it because he sinned? Or is it because his parents sinned? And Jesus said, y'all are completely missing the point. I'm not telling you not to go to therapy. If you need it, get it. I'm not telling you not to go through inner healing. If you need it, get it. I'm not telling you not to be introspective. I'm introspective. I like to figure out why things happen. I also know There's a file that I have that's full of stuff that didn't make any sense then. It don't make any sense now. That stuff's been in that file for years, and I could, if I looked at it, like, well, maybe that. Some things I look at and go, that didn't serve any purpose at all. I can't see any good that came out of it other than life's difficult and you have to figure out a way to celebrate it, which is why I'm glad we have Christmas, because it comes every year and it makes you put on a sweater and act crazy and do stuff. It just makes you do it. Or otherwise, you know what? If it didn't interrupt your life every year, who knows what might happen to you? You might become so hardened and unchangeable. And, is it obnoxious? A lot of times, yeah. Is it a lot of work? Yeah. I knew what you meant when you said, I don't want to learn all those lyrics again. People have no idea what goes into learning a song. When I stopped singing at weddings, there was a wedding of somebody in Conyers. I not only had to marry them, they had me do 5 songs that I didn't know. There's no way to tell you how many hours went into me learning those songs that I was never going to sing again. And they didn't even pay me for the wedding. I'm like, sweet Jesus in the morning. I love just if I billed you for the hours it took me to learn these stupid songs I'm never going to sing again, you couldn't afford me. That's why now somebody says, we want you to sing in our wedding. I'm like, no, I don't do that. I don't. Because I already did that. I did that a lot. I don't do it now. You just don't sing like you used to. Yeah, I don't. And when I finally do, you ought to freeze it and record it and say, you never know when he's going to do it again, because he may not. A lot of work goes into it. People have no idea. The reason I try to pay musicians when I have them come here is not for what right now. I'm honoring the hours and hours and hours that went into them learning that stuff for them to come sing for 15 minutes. Trying to honor that. Well, Bishop, you kind of brought the room down. No, I didn't. The truth makes you free. I guarantee you there's some of you that are going to be able to deal with Christmas a lot better because of what I just said. And it's not going to be perfect. If anything, it's going to give you a heads up to say, before you walk in there, I just pray Jesus puts a watch on everybody's mouth. Because I remember that, because, the waters are stirred up. You better pray that prayer. I'm going to pray it tonight. I'm driving over there. I'm going to be like, I take authority over it. Just let her forget, Jesus. Let her forget. Because you can say, that's not going to get to you. Yeah, there are people who are so connected to you emotionally. They're always going to pull your chain. No matter how much you say, you can't get to me, they can. And sometimes subliminally, they don't even realize how much they're pushing your buttons. And you just have to say, part of the deal, and thank God for family, and I'll see them when I see them, and when we see them, we'll try to all get along and try to keep everybody happy. And in the meantime, oh, star of wonder, star of night, stand up. Star with royal beauty bright, westward leading, still proceeding, guide us to thy perfect light. We're going to pass out candles to you. Just please remain standing where you are. Please monitor your candles. We're just going to have this moment. Something magical happens in candles. We've got plenty of time. There's no deadline on our time today. Go ahead. You know what? Go ahead and run this before we do that. If you could go ahead and do the outro and just remain standing, please.
Contributing to Metron is quick and easy. You can give anytime using any smartphone. Text the amount you would like to donate to 404-620-5044. You will then receive a notification that you successfully completed your donation. You may also visit bishopthenow.com and click the support tab to give there as well. When you contribute to Metron, you're also donating to the charity or organization of the month. Thank you for your investment into Metron.
If you have a check, just make it JESM. If you have cash, just pay it forward. If you want to give to me, I have all the cash apps. Just go ahead and pass it among the people, please, and I'll light you off my candle. Silent night, holy night, all is calm, all is bright, round yon virgin mother and child, holy infant, so tender and mild, sleep in heavenly silent night, holy night, Son of God, loves pure light, loves pure light, radiant beams from thy holy face, with the dawn of redeeming grace, with the dawn of redeeming grace. Jesus, Lord, at thy birth, Jesus, Lord, at thy birth, Jesus, Lord, at thy silent night, holy night. Shepherds quake, shepherds quake at the sight, at the sight. Glory streams from heaven now, for heavenly hosts, sing hallelujah. Jesus, Lord, Jesus, Lord, and thy birth, Jesus, Lord, and thy birth. I speak a blessing over you, over your household, over the craziness in your life, over the interruptions, over the inconveniences. I bless the things that don't make sense, that you're able to rise above all of it. Have a beautiful holiday, beautiful Christmas, spectacular New Year, that you don't live in denial over the negative things, and if something can be fixed, we speak that it's fixed. I pray for families. I pray for our families. I pray that rifts can be mended. But even if they're not, life is still good. Christmas is still, and we're still here. Before you blow out your candle, somebody tell me, what'd you get out of this today? Just very quickly.
I was going to tell you, you stole Merle Haggard's song this morning. That message was, if y'all make it through December, everything's going to be all right.
Exactly.
That was just a more modern version of what he was telling me.
In the
back
mouth
that
of two or
old
three
song.
witnesses. Absolutely. Somebody else, what'd you get out of it today?
His grace is sufficient.
Yes.
His grace is sufficient. Yes, sir. Somebody else? It's all good. Sure. I wasn't too real today, was I?
No.
No, you just what we need.
You didn't know I was going to take it all off.
It's just what we
You
need.
thought I was just going to show a little skin. You didn't know it was going.
Cut right down to the creamy center.
You know, hey, you know what we need, and you gives it to us.
Can you all relate?
Yeah, very much.
And you still love your crazy families.
Yes. And all the foolishness that comes along with it.
Yeah.
And that's why you pick your friends carefully.
Yeah. All right. Before you blow this out, we wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a happy. One more time. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Hallelujah.
All right, those of you streaming at home, we're going to log off, and we're going to be here for a little while eating. God bless you. We'll see you next Sunday. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.